Hi folks, we are looking out towards Luton Airport just north of London. You can see the control tower, you can see the landing lights, you can see the track of the Luton busway, which is something like a cross between a bus and a train. And the reason I'm at Luton Airport, I'm staying at the Hilton hotel nearby, is because I'm flying out at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I had to stay overnight near the airport. And my destination on this occasion is Lyon in France. Can't wait. There goes the busway bus. Do you see what I mean by saying that it's part train, part bus? It's shaped like a train, but I think it is actually a bus. I think it's got normal tyres, normal wheels, like a normal bus, so it is a bus. But part of the route goes on an old train line. It's very handy for getting from the centre of Luton to the airport. I'm looking around the room and I see that there is a reference to Luton in the form of this picture of the local town hall between the beds. That's their very nice and imposing Art Deco town hall on the main street. So I've got everything ready for my trip flying out tomorrow. This is all the electronic gadgetry that I have to take with me. So I'm holding the GoPro, of course, so you can't see that. And then I've got 6 spare batteries. I've got the Continental adapter. I've got the charging hub where I plug everything in. And I've got a spare charger for my phone. And at the moment, it's all plugging in, charging, ready for action. And for reading matter on the plane tomorrow, I have Bill Bryson, A Short History of Nearly Everything, which is a kind of popular science book. I've read it before. On my last trip to Alicante, I read that much on the plane. So I reckon this book is good for 2 more trips. My first thought for tonight was to go out and have a really nice meal in Luton. They have great food here, food from just about everywhere in the world. But then I thought, well, I have to be up at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I'm afraid it's an early night for me tonight. So I'll see you in the morning. Wow, so this is what 4 o'clock in the morning looks like. I never knew. Anyway, I'm off to walk to the airport now. So the next time I see you, it'll be in France. Right, we find ourselves in Lyon Airport. And now I've got to go and see a man about a car. Okay, all the car hire documentation is done. And this nippy little runabout is going to be my chariot for the next 4 or 5 days. Right, I don't know about you, but I think it's time to go out and start having some fun. And I don't think there's a lot of fun to be had in the immediate vicinity here. Near the airport, it all just looks like this. But I like the sight of that medieval French church up there on the hill. And the first plan is to drive to a medieval French town. It's an impressive wingspan, nearly as big as the plane that I flew in on. It's actually quite stressful driving on the wrong side of the road, and that's another reason why I wanted to stop and have a rest here, because all the controls of the car are on the wrong side, like the gear sticks on the wrong side for me. So to start with, I was driving at about 10 miles an hour and building up an ever-increasing queue of annoyed drivers behind me. But once they'd hit my stride, it was fine, and then it was my turn to start being impatient and hooting at all the people in front of me who I thought were going too slowly. This is an apple they gave me at the hotel for breakfast. Do you really eat grass, Swan? So anyway, just to tell you a little bit about the plans, although I flew into Lyon, I'm not going to be spending all the time in Lyon. I've got 2 days planned in Lyon. One is a silk day and the other one is a food day. And today is not a Lyon day. Today I'm just doing various random things in the vicinity of the airport. And then I've got another day planned in Aix-les-Bains, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is a beautiful spa town, a lakeside town in the foothills of the Alps. So it should be really, really scenic. I think that pile of sticks over there on the island is actually the swan's nest. Or at least the other day, Suzanne and I were in the park at Southend, and there was a pond and a little island in the middle and a pile of sticks just like that and a swan sitting on top of it. So I think it is the swan's nest. I'll look it up later. And of course, if it's not the swan's nest, then I won't insert this clip into the finished video because it would make me look stupid. Is that your nest then, Swan? No, you're not going to tell me? You can't understand because I'm not saying it in French? These are the pond rules, and this sign says, attention, the pond will be closed in February. What does that mean? How do you close a pond? Maybe they mean for fishing. 55 euros, is that what it costs to fish here? Maybe that's for a whole year. Anyway, I don't want to carp about it. Beautiful blossom, eh? And what grand gates we have to the park. And up on the hill there, there's a little chateau. And I wanted to stop and have a look at that and have a coffee. Which is what I'm doing. But they didn't give me a lid, so it's quite hard to carry. I'm having to go very slowly. What I've discovered is that it's actually quite hard to talk and film and carry scalding hot coffee all at the same time. It's nice coffee though. Genuine cafe au lait. Just looking for somewhere to sit. Most of the benches don't have any backs, but some of them do. These ones over here. Well, this is nice and civilized. And it would be more civilized still if I'd got a cake from that shop, but I managed to resist the temptation. I'm trying to hold out for lunch. It's actually nice to be able to relax after all the excitement of the journey getting here. And I don't have a very fixed plan or timetable for today. I can do what I like. As long as I get to the medieval town by lunchtime, then everything's fine. If you watched the videos of me in Spain last week, then you will have perceived that my Spanish is fairly dreadful. But I have an excuse with Spanish, I never studied it. French, on the other hand, I did study for 7 years, so there's no excuse this week. So I've arrived in the town of Crémieu, and they're ringing the bells here to welcome me. That's a nice French country town little sound, isn't it? And I haven't seen much of Crémieu yet, that's all I've seen. That's a good start, isn't it? Might be quite an impressive town. And I found a good place to park just near the centre. And when I first saw this parking space, I thought, well, I won't be able to park too far up against the wall because then I'll never be able to open the door. And then I remembered, of course, that because I'm in France, the driver's seat is on the left. So I think we'll head towards the centre and we'll look for food on the way. I'm so glad they don't all have satellite dishes on. What's this thing, a gatehouse? Yes, it was a gatehouse. There was a sign there in English to say so. And it was protected by a moat back in the day. That's the remains of the moat. Oh, you can do a circuit. I might try and follow that. I'm notoriously bad at following circuits, but let's try. Doing okay so far. There's a sign here which says that this street is a trading district, and all of these big windows are former shop fronts. Well, so far this place seems really attractive. It's very chocolate box. I think it deserves to be more famous than it is. I hadn't even heard of it before. Had you heard of Crémieu? These are more former shop fronts, according to the sign. Oh, excusez-moi. Les Terrasses des Augustines. There's some nice smells coming from there. I think I might mark that place out for future attention in about half an hour for lunch. Let's go and see what's in here. Town Hall, I think. Yes, Augustinian convent. Well, let's walk around the cloisters. I feel like I should be running around them like in Chariots of Fire. See how fast I can do it. I think this is what the monks were supposed to do every day. They were supposed to walk around the cloisters, lost in thought, thinking all kinds of religious things. Well, apparently there's an election coming up in Crémieu, and I think that I really want to get involved in the local community to the extent of voting. So it seems like there are three choices. So there's this chap, Eric Baumel, and he says, if my French is up to the test, our future, let's write it together. Well, can't disagree with that. Then secondly, we have Hernandez Azucena, who is responsible for 29 candidates just for a small place like this. And she says, a team born in confidence, friendship, and the love of our community. Yeah, can't disagree with that either. And then we have this lady, Isabel Flores, and she says, a team engaged for Crémieu. They all sound great. I don't know who to vote for. I might have to abstain. Does that mean it's 12 o'clock, those bells? This looks a bit like a little marketplace with a fountain in the centre. And is that the main church in town? Pharmacie du Cloître. I'm going to guess that cloître means cloisters, which I just walked around. If it doesn't, then again, I won't put this clip in the video. It's a beautiful street, but this place rather lowers the tone. Bubble tea, has that reached even here? I like the wood carvings. Well, maybe that wasn't the marketplace that I saw before, because clearly this is the historic market building. I wonder if they still have a market here. I shudder to think how gentrified it would be now in a place like this. Huge. Doesn't look like it's used for anything, but it's quite a building. Everywhere's closed though. Another restaurant. I'll go near it and see if the smell's nice. If it's got a nice smell coming out of it, then it's a better candidate. I think perhaps I won't go to that place. I like the building that's behind it though. Today, like other times. I think that's what the shop's called. The Little Local. locally made things. These are all places that I would never shop at. But that's just me. I could get crepes here, but I think that's a bit too predictable. This building here is on the official tour, and apparently it's called the Painted House. I think it needs a bit of a touch-up though. And then this place, La Fromagerie Crémieu, the cheese shop, also closed. Apparently France has something like 350 official types of cheese. And apparently de Gaulle said, how on earth can you govern a country with 350 types of cheese? Meaning, how can you keep people happy when their taste is so different? This place seems to be a classy restaurant, but also closed. Ice cream in the summer and oysters in the winter. I think you don't need me to tell you what this shop sells when it's open. Bookshop cafe. Art studio. You can tell it's a classy town. Antiques. Bouqueterie, a flower shop that sells bouquets. Well, I feel like I'm only halfway through seeing the place, and all I've seen so far are the expensive shops. But I'll do the rest afterwards. I think it's time for lunch now, and I think the first place I saw is the one with the best smells. So I ordered the menu of the day, which I think is pear tart, roti of pork Orloff style, sauté potatoes and profiterole. And isn't that a picture of the market building that I saw before? Oh, très bien, merci. Avez-vous du beurre?
Du beurre? Oui, je vais demander.
Merci beaucoup. Hope you're impressed by my command of the language. I just asked for some butter, which elicited a very surprised response. The starter has arrived, the thing that I thought was pear tart, but I didn't think it could be pear tart really as a starter, so I looked at what poireau meant. It doesn't mean a French detective, and poireau means leek, so I'm being a moron, it's a leek tart. Let's give it a try. Oh, that's lovely, full of flavour, really homemade. They've served it kind of lukewarm. I think it's got corn in as well. Yeah, it's lovely. I wonder what they think of me reviewing their food at top volume like this. That's one to remember, leek tart. If you're ever in this place, have the leek tart.
J'ai vu sur Facebook.
Ouais, mais je voulais que ce soit sorti. Alex, orange, tout vert, je sais pas les couleurs qu'ils ont. Parce que si on fait quoi ça? Du coup? Non. Les yeux couchés? Est-ce qu'il y en a de garnier qui est de l'autre côté?
J'ai commandé.
Lequel il y a
J'ai commandé une vigne Olivier. Et il a dit qu'il va me la trouver, mais je ne veux pas une machine, une valise.
Ouais, il faut les copier.
Je vous l'applique 3-4 cm de diamètre, puis je vais les tout de suite.
Well, that was really tasty and really satisfying. I'm just walking around the cloisters again now to let it all settle. The best thing about that meal was the profiterole. I was pretty sure that it was made in-house, and I asked them and they said it was. So, I think I've pretty much done the centre of Crémieu now, so there are two more things to do. There's the Ramparts up on the hill that way, and then there's the Château, which is up on the hill that way. And I feel a bit disinclined to walk up two huge hills after that meal. I really should have done the hard part in the morning and saved the lower part for after my dinner. But anyway, I'll make myself do it. I'll get up those hills. There's a lizard hiding inside that hedge. I've seen him twice now, but of course he darts away before I have a chance to turn the camera on. I'll just stand here for a minute or so and see if he rocks up. There's another one over there. Did you see him? Going like the clappers. There's probably loads of them. That's the ramparts up on the hill. They look dauntingly high and far away. I'm informed that it's this way to the ramparts. She said look for a narrow staircase. That must be it. This is just the beginning. There's going to be a lot more stairs. I've barely scratched the surface so far. Must be this way. Now in Spain, not a single cat that I saw wanted to be stroked. So let's see if the French cats are more sociable. Come over here, kitty. Come over. Psst. No. You're worse than the Spanish lot. Oh well, good riddance. At least this will help me to work off the calories from lunch. And I should get a good view out of it as well. But then don't forget that after I've climbed this hill, I've got to climb that one over there where the chateau is. The path is lined with primroses. You are entering a historic, sensitive and fragile site. I'm nowhere near the top yet, but there's a pretty decent view from here. What does that mean? Paintings and landscapes? Good place to paint? Yeah. Ruche pédagogique? Don't know what that means. Let's go and see. Well, they've got a full-on castle there. I'll go and see that afterwards. With a bit of luck, we'll get 360-degree views. This is only in French, so let me pause for a second while I see what I can make of it. Well, I just read it all with a bit of help from Google Translate, and not all of it needs to be mentioned, but one interesting thing I noticed down here is that that's a part of the city wall. See that line of houses? The city wall used to go all around the city, obviously. There wouldn't be much use in it otherwise, but it doesn't remain everywhere. You can still see it there, but not in all the other places. And then the round towers are a particular feature of the town. But we're not at the top yet. 2 lizards for the price of 1. The one on the rock, I can see him Whoop, he's run away before I could show you. He's scared of my voice. I was going to say that I could see his chest expanding every time he breathed. Can we see that with you? Maybe not from this angle. You're not as scared as your friend. If I go even a tiny bit closer, I'm sure you'll dart off. You basking on the rocks, absorbing a bit of sunlight. That's how they get their energy. Oh, coming back. You want to be on camera. Thank you for this, giving me some good content. You're hoping to be fed. Didn't know that was how it worked with lizards. Oh well, that was fun. I got a close-up. This must have been an enormous castle back in the day. Sumptuous views in all directions. Can't understand why this place isn't better known. Everybody's heard of Lyon, but don't think anybody's heard of Crémieu. I certainly hadn't. They weren't taking any chances, were they, with great high walls like that? I don't think I'd ever attack this tower. By the time I'd climbed to the top of the hill, I would just want to rest. They need to get the builders in here. That's the view. Every castle has to be near water, of course. You can't live without water, as we established in Spain. A roof made of stone slabs from a time before they had slate tiles. Well, that climb was definitely worth it for the views alone. So now let's go and repeat the trick on the other side of town. We'll climb up to the Château and get the views from there. There's quite an amusing irony here. You can tell that this is a well-off town from the shops that we saw in the centre before. And the reason it's well off is because it's attractive and rich people will pay more to live here. But why is it attractive and historical and unspoiled? I think the reason is that for centuries it was poor and nobody had the money to develop it or change it or update it. So all these old buildings have just stayed the same for hundreds of years. So the irony is that it was the very poverty of the town that led to it being wealthy today. So the plan now is to walk along that section of city wall that we saw from up above. And I think this is a chunk of it here. I think some of the later houses have incorporated the wall into their house. Like these people here didn't need to build a back wall because there was one already there. And that must have been one of the main city gates. I think that means round path. You can walk around the city on the walls. See, the ramblers have found their way here, or the French equivalent thereof. I'm being very nosy here. Why does this person need so many jars? I really should mind my own business, I know. Another very imposing gate, only about 100 meters from the previous one. They don't want you driving in this gate though. Oh, there's a huge great gang of them going up towards the Château maybe. Maybe that's where I'm supposed to be going. I can just imagine a housewife opening a door and tipping a bowl of dirty washing up water down here. Right, let's have another shot at befriending a cat. Kitty, kitty, come over here and be stroked. No? The lizard came towards me, why won't you? Oh, charming. I'm sure the English cats are friendlier. I'm sure they come up to be stroked more than half the time. I must do a proper scientific survey on that sometime. Anyway, on to more serious matters. So the city wall seems to come juddering to an abrupt halt here. And we're at the edge of town. That's a nice tree-lined avenue. And all those hikers were going up that hill. I don't know why, because the chateau isn't up there. It's this way. So we continue. And then the city wall begins again here. This place doesn't have any signs outside it, but it looks to me like it might be a former monastery. And see the city wall still in front of it? That's the city wall again. There's a lot of it still in place. And this road is called the Path of the La Bonnadière doctors. A father and son, presumably, who were doctors in the town, I'm guessing. Let's follow the wall. Wonder why it's so covered with vegetation in some places and not others. I think I'm walking all around the chateau, but not up to it. Très joli. Oh, this is where I'm parked. Just realised. That's me. Well, I've come full circle. Still haven't got to the chateau. I think I'll inquire if it's possible to walk up there at all. Otherwise I could waste a lot of time trying. Well, at least you can get a good shot of the chateau from this angle. And over here, more news about the election. So Isabel Flores, I've seen 2 posters put up by her. I've only seen one from each of the other 2 candidates, so I think I'll vote for her. I think she wants it more. Yeah, I'm definitely going to vote for Isabel Flores because one of her supporters has the same name as me. So he must be good. And that, I think, is how democracy ought to work. Just vote for the person with the same name as you. Well, I'm struggling to find out because hardly anybody is walking past, and the couple of people who have walked past, even though they're locals, they don't know if you can walk to the chateau, which I thought was very incurious of them. But anyway, while I've been waiting here, I've been looking around for other things of interest, and I have spotted something. So let me take you to see it. I like to think I can always find something interesting wherever I am. So this park is a former playground. And this is the former school. School of Girls. Does it say School of Boys on the other side? Yes, it does. Now it's a community centre, apparently. One of the ladies here just told me. École de Garçons, School of Boys. Nice looking building. Finally, somebody gave me directions to the chateau, and it's dead easy. All you have to do is go up this lane behind the post office. So how the other people can live here and not know, I just don't understand. It's like living in Paris and not having heard of the Eiffel Tower. Anyway, up we go. And I noticed behind this wall, if I had been following the circuit properly, then there would have been at least 51 stops on it. So I did the first couple and then I forgot all about it. 51 stops is quite a decent total for a little town, I'd say. Yeah, up again. I think I won't be able to complain about the views. Only about the amount of walking and climbing that's required in order to see them. This way, ever upwards. Well, once again, the views are absolutely breathtaking. It's a pretty quiet, peaceful little place, except that I think that's the high school over there, and I can hear the noise from there all the way over here. A lot of announcements are booming out over the loudspeaker. I don't know what's going on. Are they all being told off? Probably. Teenagers are always having to be told off. I can't understand what the teacher's saying over the loudspeaker, but he doesn't sound too thrilled. There's going to be detentions for somebody. Right, I just know this cat's going to talk to me. Aren't you, cat? I knew I'd win you over. I knew there must be one cat in the whole of France that wanted to be stroked. The most docile cat in France. Oh, well, it looks like you can't get all the way in. Let's see what they say. At the entrance of the castle, see the tombstone of the Lord of Crémieu. That must be this. Anyway, again, it was worth climbing all the way up here for the views. And I was just talking to another local, and he says that the place where I'm staying, which is called Bourgoin-Jallieu, it's about half an hour away, is also very interesting and well worth a look. So it's a bit too early to go to the Airbnb now, but I might just go and skulk around the town a bit and see what I see. But anyway, thank you to Crémieu for giving me a few very enjoyable hours. I spent a lot longer here than I thought I would. So I think my system while driving is just going to be that I'll stop every time I see something interesting, and I just did. It did look to me as though I'd been driving beside a former railway line on the way here. I think it's turned into a cycle path now, and now I know that it's a former railway line because this is the former station. Now some chap's house. Well, let's go and have a look. He's doing the train thing because he's got a train in his back garden. Got the old platform. Now that's his barbecue terrace. Perhaps he's turned that into an Airbnb. Let's walk around the whole thing. Is that the former water tower? Oh, he's got an outside bar. And maybe the original station clock. Vénérieux. The smell is actually pretty ripe here because I think that tractor is spreading muck on the fields. So it's very aromatic. He's keeping chickens in the backfield. Bonjour, monsieur. Well, here we are at Bourgogne-Jallieu, and I notice that Bourgogne-Jallieu is twinned with several other towns, including Dunstable. Dunstable is right near Luton. I drove through it yesterday to get to Luton Airport. And it's interesting because Dunstable is exactly what I am if you take away the D. Well, I'm in the accommodation. It took me quite a while to negotiate the locks box. It's all these fancy electronic ones where if you don't press exactly the right button in the right sequence, then it gets shirty with you. The place seems like a former garage that's been converted into 6 apartments. Air conditioning. Then there's a washroom. More apartments. A nice little place to sit. And then I'll show you the inside of my apartment. That must be the Wi-Fi there. Security cameras. So at first I thought it was just this little sitting room and kitchen. Then you've got your breakfast bar, telly, all nice IKEA stuff. But then I slid this door back and I realised there was more. I thought I might have a communal shower, but no, I've got my own shower. And a bedroom. Where's the light? Can't see how to turn the light on, but never mind. I'll brighten it up later on. So bedroom and toilet. And that's all you need. And this was about 190 or 200 quid for 4 nights, so £50 a night, not too bad. Well, I went out to get a few bits and pieces of food, and by the time I got back, it was nearly 7 o'clock. So I'm not going to do anything else today. So just thinking about today, have you ever been to a place when traveling where you expected great things from it and it turned out to be a bit of a letdown? Well, that's happened to me before, but today it was the opposite of that, because I hadn't known much about Crémieu at all. I'd never heard of it before. It looked very small on the map. I thought maybe half an hour would be enough to walk around the place. But I ended up spending 4 or 5 hours there because it was so beautiful, so historical, and it had the most amazing views from the tops of the hills. So maybe the moral of the story is that when traveling, you just have to expect the unexpected. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and please join me tomorrow when I have further adventures. Bye for now.